Belgium came back from the dead in Seattle, scoring twice in the final 4 minutes of normal time and then landing the killer blow in extra time to eliminate Senegal from the 2026 World Cup. Welcome to FairPlay, Football AI Review. This was a round of 32 knockout encounter at Seattle's Lumen Field, and the stakes could not have been more absolute. One team would advance to face the United States in the last 16. The other would board the plane home. Belgium came in as the higher-ranked side but carrying real anxiety after a group stage that saw them fail to win more than once in 90 minutes. Senegal arrived as African champions with genuine belief, having already made history as the first African nation to score 10 goals in a single World Cup edition. The pre-match narrative centered heavily on Belgium's aging golden generation finally running out of road. Kevin De Bruyne, playing what could be his final World Cup, was carrying the creative burden for a side that had not always delivered on their enormous potential in tournament football. For Senegal, Ismaïla Sarr had been in sensational form, with 4 goals to his name already in this tournament, matching the single-edition record for an African player. Coach Pape Thiaw's side were not here to make up the numbers. Rudi Garcia set Belgium up in a 4-2-3-1, with Tielemans and Van Aken as the double pivot, De Bruyne operating in the right half space behind a lone striker in De Ketelaere. Trossard was given the freedom of the left channel, while Doku's pace was designed to stretch Senegal's defensive line. The intent was clear: control the tempo through De Bruyne's orchestration and find spaces in behind with direct running. Senegal lined up in a 4-3-3 with Habib Diarra, Idrissa Gana Gueye, and Pape Gueye forming a compact, energetic midfield trio. Sadio Mané led the line flanked by Ndiaye and Sarr, giving Thiaw's side an extremely potent front three capable of punishing any high defensive line. The shape was designed to press aggressively, win the ball high up the pitch, and transition quickly through Mané's movement. The fundamental tactical tension in this match was between Belgium's positional build-up structure and Senegal's press and transition game. Senegal's midfield three worked tirelessly to cut off De Bruyne's passing lanes, and they found considerable success. Belgium's centre-backs Michel and Thiat were frequently forced into direct balls, and it was precisely the space between them that Sarr would later exploit so ruthlessly for the second goal. Belgium controlled the ball early but struggled to create genuine danger, with Senegal's press forcing them sideways and backwards repeatedly in the opening exchanges. The first 15 minutes were almost entirely structured around Belgium's possession and Senegal's patient, organized defensive block. There was very little end-to-end football, which suited Thiaw's game plan perfectly. Then, in the 25th minute, Senegal struck. Sadio Mané delivered a whipped-in swinging cross from the left. Sarr twisted brilliantly to flick the ball on at the near post, and it cannoned back off the upright. Habib Diarra followed in with the composure of a player twice his age to tuck the rebound home. It was a goal born from Mané's delivery, Sarr's aerial cleverness, and Belgium's defensive failure to track the run. Belgium pushed back after conceding, and De Bruyne found pockets of space between the lines. Trossard had a lively spell before the break, hitting the woodwork and forcing one sharp save from Mori Diaw, but Senegal held firm and went in at the interval with a 1-goal cushion that felt deserved, given the energy and structure of their defending. The halftime assessment was clear. Belgium had the ball but lacked the cutting edge to unlock a disciplined Senegal shape. Garcia had already made his most significant decision before the second half began, hauling off De Ketelaere and introducing Romelu Lukaku. The message was unmistakable. Belgium needed a physical presence, a goal threat, and they needed it immediately. Senegal, however, came out for the second half and immediately went for the throat. 6 minutes in, Moussa Niakhaté played a perfectly weighted long ball over the top, and Ismaïla Sarr controlled it brilliantly on his chest right between Thiat and Michele before driving a composed finish past Courtois. It was a devastating piece of individual quality from a player who had been unstoppable throughout the tournament. Belgium were 2 down and seemingly out. Garcia responded with a double substitution in the 56th minute, replacing both De Bruyne and Doku, bringing on Nicolas Raskin for defensive energy in midfield, and Dodi Lukebakio for more directness down the right. The loss of De Bruyne was significant. He had created moments but had visibly tired, and his 56 minutes were all he could give. Raskin immediately imposed himself on the physical battle. Diego Moreira came on for Vanaken in the 63rd minute, adding yet more youthful urgency to the Belgian press. Garcia was essentially dismantling his structured midfield and throwing bodies forward, accepting the risk of a third Senegal goal in the hope of manufacturing a miracle. Thomas Meunier then replaced De Kuyper at left back in the 78th minute, a more attacking fullback to push forward and deliver crosses. Senegal made 3 changes of their own at the 66 and 73-minute marks. Lamine Camara came on for Papaguay, but was booked within 60 seconds of entering the pitch, a moment of extraordinary rashness that summed up the rising tension. Ibrahim Mbaye and Pape Matar Sarr came on for Ndiaye and Diarra, with Thiau's intent clearly being to preserve what his team had and see the game out. Belgium refused to die. In the 86th minute, Meunier delivered a precise cross from the right, and Lukaku met it at the near post with a sweeping right-footed finish. Belgium were back to 2-1, and with his 92nd international goal, Lukaku became Belgium's all-time leading scorer in the most dramatic of circumstances. 3 minutes later, with the stadium in absolute chaos, the comeback was complete. Leandro Trossard swung in a cross that goalkeeper Mori Diaw failed to claim cleanly, and Yuri Tielemans arrived at the back post to head into the empty net. 2 goals in 4 minutes. Belgium had done the seemingly impossible, and when the final whistle blew on 90 minutes, it was 2 goals all. Extra time opened in a frenzied atmosphere with both sides visibly drained but desperate to avoid the lottery of a penalty shootout. Belgium came out marginally sharper in the first period, with Lukebakio testing Diaw twice, and Trossard causing problems before eventually being replaced by Amadou Onana in the 109th minute. Senegal introduced Nicholas Jackson and El Hadji Malick Diouf in the 93rd minute, losing Mané and Jacobs, but neither fresh substitute could generate the decisive breakthrough. The 105-minute mark brought the clearest chance of the additional period, a Lukaku header that cannoned over. Then, in the 120th minute and 5th second of additional time, the moment that will echo through World Cup history, Belgium won a penalty and Yuri Tielemans stepped up and converted with icy calm. It was the latest winning goal in World Cup history. Senegal, exhausted and heartbroken, had nothing left to respond. On the ball, Belgium dominated possession at 52%, completing 602 passes to Senegal's 536, with matching pass accuracy of 86 and 84% respectively. The possession numbers flattered Belgium slightly because so much of that ball retention came in their own half when Senegal sat off. It was controlled but ultimately sterile for long periods. The XG numbers told a more honest story. Senegal generated an XG of 2.94 to Belgium's 2.16, meaning the Lions of Teranga created the higher quality chances and were arguably the deserving team over 90 minutes. Both sides registered 5 shots on target across a full match, but Senegal's hit the woodwork twice and were denied by a superb performance from Courtois. Belgium had 19 shots in total to Senegal's 19 as well, reflecting how closely matched these sides were. Defensively, this was a match where individual errors proved decisive. Senegal's centre-backs were excellent for much of the game, but Théaté and Michel's failure to deal with Sarr's run for the second goal exposed the gap at the heart of the Belgian backline. Courtois was magnificent throughout, and without him Belgium would have conceded far more than 2. The standout performer for Belgium, without question, was Yuri Tielemans. He scored twice, including a penalty in the deepest of extra time. He contributed an assist and was the engine that kept Belgium moving forward, even when everyone around him was flagging. In a match where De Bruyne's influence faded early, Tielemans became the heartbeat of the Belgian comeback. For Senegal, Ismaïla Sarr was extraordinary. A goal, a hand in the first, hitting the woodwork twice, running Belgium's defense ragged for 90 minutes. His 4 goals this tournament matched the African player's single-edition record, and even in defeat he was the most dangerous player on the pitch from a quality of chance standpoint. With an XG of 2.944 on the Senegal side, much of that was generated by his movement and delivery. The player who will face the harshest assessment is goalkeeper Mori Diao. His failure to hold Trossard's cross in the 89th minute directly gifted Tielemans a tap-in and allowed a comeback that looked impossible just 4 minutes earlier. Goalkeepers are defined by moments under pressure, and that moment cost Senegal the World Cup. Manager Rudi Garcia deserves genuine credit for the boldness of his substitutions. Bringing Lukaku on at halftime when the team was only 1 down was a gamble, but it gave Belgium the focal point they needed for the comeback. The triple change in the 66th and 63rd minutes effectively said the controlled game plan is abandoned, and that fearlessness ultimately won this match. Head-to-head history between these two nations is naturally brief, and this encounter will now define the rivalry. This is just the second meaningful meeting of these sides in a major tournament. Belgium have now beaten Senegal at the World Cup, but the manner of that victory and the quality Senegal showed for long stretches suggests that the margin between these teams is far smaller than the final outcome implies. Belgium's recent form heading into this match read WDDWW in their last 5, with their group stage campaign showing resilience if not always dominance. They thrashed New Zealand 5-1 and managed draws against Iran and Egypt. The concern was whether their squad had the depth and freshness to absorb a physical challenge, and the answer over 130 minutes was only just. Senegal arrived with a form line reading WLLWL in their last 5, having suffered defeats to Norway and France before this tournament. Despite those losses, their World Cup group stage form had been electric, beating Iraq 5-0 and producing the moments that made that 10-goal total a historical milestone. Belgium advance as one of the final 16 teams remaining, now facing the United States in what will be a partisan atmosphere on American soil. Their tournament position remains strong, and with Tielemans in this form, the remaining golden generation still has the capacity to go deep. Senegal are eliminated, and with them goes one of the most exciting African squads assembled in recent years. A record-equaling Sarr, a Mané still full of quality, a midfield with genuine Premier League depth. Their consolation is that they rewrote the history books for African football in this tournament. The hurt of losing this way, with a keeper's error opening the door, will linger. Belgium face the United States next, and the host nation will come with crowd and momentum firmly on their side. Rudi Garcia will need to address the defensive fragility exposed by Sarr and find a way to be more proactive from minute 1 rather than waiting for a crisis to ignite his side's spirit. This was a match that had everything a World Cup knockout tie should produce. Tactical structure giving way to chaos, individual brilliance, a goalkeeping error that changed history, and the latest goal ever to decide a World Cup tie. Belgium survived, Senegal are gone, and the story of this tournament continues. This has been FairPlay, and we will be back in the last 16 when Belgium take on the United States. Buckle up, that's the FairPlay verdict on this one. If you want more analysis like this, follow us. Find us on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok at FairPlay AI, and follow Anthony personally on X at Anthony Fairplay. See you next match.